Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Last week, we heard 2 episodes. First was Krishna forcibly carried away his next wife, Mitra Vinda. And we also heard another episode where Krishna defeated 7 bulls. And by defeating the 7 bulls, he won the hand of Satya, or Nagnajiti. So far, Krishna has had the following wives. First we had Rukmini, then we had Jambavati, then we had Satyabhama, then we had Kalindi, then we had Mitravinda, and then Satya. So now we need 2 more queens to round out the 8 principal queens of Krishna. So that's what we're going to hear next. The remaining 2 queens, which makes up the 8 principal queens. Before this marriage of Satya with Krishna, there had been many competitive engagements with the bulls of King Nagnajit, and many other princes of the Yadu dynasty and other dynasties as well had also tried to win the hand of Satya. So when the frustrated princes of the other dynasties heard that Krishna was successful in getting the hand of Satya by subduing the 7 bulls, naturally these princes became envious of Krishna. And so, while Krishna was traveling to Dwaraka, all the frustrated and defeated princes encircled Krishna and began to shower their arrows on the bridal party. And when they attacked Krishna's party and shot arrows like incessant torrents of rain, Arjuna, the best friend of Krishna, took charge of the challenge. And Arjuna alone very easily drove them off just to please his great friend Krishna on the occasion of Krishna's marriage to Satya. Immediately, Arjuna took up his Gandiva bow and chased away all the princes, exactly as a lion drives away all small animals simply by chasing them. And so, Arjuna drove away all the princes without killing even one of them. After this, the very chief of the Yadu dynasty, Lord Krishna himself, along with his newly married wife Satya and the huge dowry, entered the city of Dwaraka with great pomp. Krishna then lived in Dwaraka with Satya very peacefully. Now, besides Kunti Devi, Krishna had another aunt who was Vasudev's sister. Her name was Srutakirti, and she was married and lived in the Kekaya province. Srutakirti had a daughter whose name was Bhadra. Bhadra also wanted to marry Krishna, and so her brother handed Bhadra over to Krishna unconditionally. Then Krishna accepted Bhadra as his bona fide wife. And thereafter, Krishna married a daughter of the king of the Madras province. Her name was Lakshmana. Lakshmana had all good qualities, but she was also forcibly married by Krishna, who took Lakshmana in the same way that Garuda once snatched the jar of nectar from the hands of the demigods. Krishna kidnapped Lakshmana in the presence of many other kings in the assembly of Lakshmana's Swayamvara. The Swayamvara is a Vedic ceremony in which the bride can select her own husband from an assembly of many princes. Thus, the description of Krishna's marriage with the 5 girls mentioned in this chapter, namely Kalindi, Mitravinda, Satya, Bhadra, and Lakshmana. However, Krishna also had other thousands of wives besides these first 8. Krishna accepted the other thousands of wives after killing a demon named Bauma. All these thousands of girls were held captive in the palace of Bauma Asura, and Krishna released them and married them. And just as a side note, later on, when we are visiting Kurukshetra, not for the battle of Kurukshetra, but later on, the famous incident when the queens of Krishna also met the residents of Vrindavan. There was a meeting between all the residents of Dwaraka and the meeting of the residents of Vrindavan. They all met together when there was a solar eclipse, and they all decided to go to Kurukshetra and observe religious ceremonies. So that we will hear about later on in our Krishna book episodes. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This episode is entitled The History of Bauma Asura. The story of Bauma Asura, how he kidnapped and made captive 16,000 princesses by collecting them from the palaces of various kings, and how Bauma Asura was ultimately killed by Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord of wonderful character, is all described by Shukadeva Goswami to King Parikshit in the Dashamaskanda, or 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, demons are always against the demigods, and this demon, Bauma Asura, having become very powerful, took by force the umbrella from the throne of the demigod Varuna. Bauma Asura also took the earrings of Mother Aditi, the mother of the demigods. Bauma Asura also conquered a portion of heavenly Mount Meru and occupied that portion known as Mani Parvata. Thus, the king of the heavenly planets, Indra, therefore came to Dwaraka to complain about Bauma Asura before Lord Krishna. Hearing this complaint by Indra, the king of heaven, Lord Krishna, accompanied by his wife Satyabhama, immediately started for the abode of Bauma Asura. Both Krishna and Satyabhama rode on the back of Garuda, who flew them to Pragjyotishapura, the capital city of Bauma Asura. Let us go now to the next episode, and this one ties in with the screenshot behind me. So this is entitled, Krishna Kills the Mora Demon. To enter the city of Pragjyotishapura was not a very easy task, because it was very well fortified. First of all, there were 4 strong holes guarding the 4 directions of the city, which was well protected on all sides by formidable military strength. The next boundary was a water canal all around the city, and in addition, the whole city was surrounded by electric wires. The next fortification was of anila, a gaseous substance. After this, there was a network of barbed wiring constructed by a demon of the name Mora. The city appeared well protected, even in terms of today's so-called scientific advancements. When Krishna arrived, he broke all the strongholds to pieces simply by the strokes of his club named Kaumodaki, and Krishna scattered the military strength here and there with the constant onslaught of his arrows. With his celebrated Sudarsana Chakra, Krishna counteracted the electrified boundary, annihilated the channels of water and the gaseous boundary, and cut to pieces the electrified network, all fabricated by the demon Mora. Simply by the vibration of his conchal Panchajanya, Krishna broke the hearts of the great fighters and also broke all the fighting machines that were being used by the demons. Similarly, Krishna broke the walls around the city with his invincible Kaumodaki club. The vibration of Krishna's conchal Panchajanya sounded like a thunderbolt at the time of the dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation. The demon Mora thus heard the vibration of the Panchajanya conchal. He awakened from his sleep and personally came out to see what was happening. Demon Mora had 5 heads and had long been living within the water. The Mora Demon was as brilliant as the sun at the time of the dissolution of the cosmos, and his temper was like blazing fire. Indeed, the effulgence of Mora's body was so dazzling that he was difficult to see with naked eye. When Mora Asura came out, he first took out his trident, rushing towards Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In his onslaught, demon Mora was like a big snake attacking Garuda. Mora's angry mood was very severe, and he appeared ready to devour all the 3 worlds. First of all, Mora Asura attacked the carrier of Krishna, Garuda, by whirling and throwing his trident, and through his 5 mouths, Mora Asura vibrated sounds like the roaring of a lion. These roaring vibrations spread all over the atmosphere until they extended all over the world and into outer space, up and down, and out to the 10 directions, rumbling throughout the entire universe. Lord Krishna could see that the trident of the Mora Demon was rushing toward his carrier Garuda. But immediately, with a trick of his hand, Krishna took 2 arrows and threw them towards the trident, cutting it to pieces. Simultaneously, using many arrows, Krishna pierced the mouths of the demon Mora. So when the Mora Demon saw himself outmaneuvered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately he began to strike Krishna in great anger with his club. But Lord Krishna, with his own club, Kaumodaki, broke the club of Mora to pieces even before it could reach him. Now, bereft of his weapon, Mora Demon decided to attack Krishna with his strong arms. But with the aid of his Sudarsana Chakra, Krishna immediately separated the 5 heads from the body of Mora. The demon then fell into the water, just as the peak of a mountain falls into the ocean after being struck by the thunderbolt of heavenly King Indra. This demon Mora had 7 sons who were named Tamra, Antariksha, Sravana, Vibhavasu, Vasu, Nabasvan, and Aruna. All of them became puffed up and vengeful because of the death of their father Mora. And to retaliate, these 7 sons prepared to fight Krishna in great anger. Equipping themselves with all kinds of necessary weapons, they situated Pita, another demon, to act as commander in the battle. By the order of Bauma Asura, all of them attacked Krishna combinedly. And when they came before Lord Krishna, they began showering Krishna with many kinds of weapons, like swords, clubs, lances, arrows, and tridents. But they could not know the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Krishna's strength is unlimited and invincible. That they were not aware of. So, with his arrows, Krishna cut all the weapons of the men of Bauma Asura into pieces, just like grains. Krishna then threw his weapons, and Bauma Asura's commander-in-chief, Pita, along with his assistants, fell down, their military dress cut off, and their hands, heads, legs, arms, and thighs were thus severed. All of them were sent to the superintendent of death, Yamaraj himself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This one is entitled Bauma Asura Killed by Krishna's Sudarsana Chakra. Bauma Asura was also known as Naraka Asura, and he happened to be the son of the earth personified. So when Bauma Asura saw that all of his soldiers, commanders, and fighters were killed on the battlefield simply by the strokes of the weapons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bauma Asura became exceedingly angry at Krishna. Bauma Asura then came out of the city with a great number of elephants who had all been born and brought up on the seashore. All of them were highly intoxicated. And when they came out, the intoxicated elephants saw that Lord Krishna and his wife Satyabhama were beautifully situated in outer space, just like a blackish cloud about the sun, glittering with the light of electricity. Krishna wanted to give his adventurous wife a novel experience, and that is why he took Satyabhama to the scene of this extraordinary battle. The demon Bauma immediately released a weapon called Shatagni, by which Bauma Asura could kill hundreds of warriors with just one stroke, and all of his assistants simultaneously threw their respective weapons at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, Lord Krishna counteracted all these weapons by releasing his feathered arrows. The result of this fight was that all the soldiers and commanders of Bauma Asura fell to the ground, their arms, legs, and heads separated from their trunks, and all their horses and elephants also fell with them. In this way, all the weapons released by Bauma Asura were cut to pieces by Krishna's arrows. Krishna was fighting on the back of Garuda, who was helping Krishna by striking the horses and elephants with his wings and scratching their heads with his nails and sharp beak. Feeling much pain from Garuda's attack upon them, the intoxicated elephants all dispersed from the battlefield. Now, Bauma Asura alone remained on the battlefield, and Bauma Asura concentrated himself in fighting with Krishna. Bauma Asura saw that Krishna's carrier, Garuda, had caused great disturbance to his soldiers and elephants, and so, in great anger, Bauma Asura struck Garuda with all of his strength, which defied the strength of the thunderbolt. Fortunately, Garuda is no ordinary bird, and Garuda felt the strokes given by Bauma Asura just as a great elephant feels the impact of a garland of flowers. Bauma Asura thus came to see that none of his tricks would act upon Krishna. And so Bauma Asura became aware that all of his attempts to kill Krishna would be frustrated. And yet, Bauma Asura tried for the very last time, taking a trident in his hand, striking Krishna. As Bauma raised his invincible trident, Satyabhama, sitting on Garuda with Krishna, said to him, "Oh, kill him right away!" Krishna was so dexterous that before Bauma Asura could even throw his trident, Bauma Asura's head was cut off by the sharp Sudarsana Chakra. Bauma Asura's head, illuminated by earrings and helmets, fell down on the battlefield. On the occasion of Bauma Asura's being killed by Lord Krishna, all the demon's relatives screamed in disappointment, but the saintly persons glorified the chivalrous activities of Krishna. Taking this opportunity, the denizens of the heavenly planets showered flowers upon Krishna. Here are some notes from the Srimad Bhagavatam on this section. Lord Krishna had once granted blessings to Bhumi, the earth goddess, that he would not kill her demoniac son without her permission. Since Bhumi is an expansion of Satyabhama, she could authorize Krishna to do the needful with the unusually nasty Bauma Asura. In the heat of battle, Queen Satyabhama naturally became anxious for Lord Krishna's safety and prayed for the battle to end. Thus Satyabhama readily gave permission for Krishna to kill the son of her expansion, Bhumi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.